The only way you're going to improve your mental health when you see this video is when you decide to be honest and vulnerable about how you genuinely feel. Welcome or welcome back. It's your favorite mental health specialist, Ty Guidance, and yes, that is what we're going to be talking about in today's video. With that being said, because there's no right or wrong way to heal yourself, always and only take what resonates as well as leave the rest. So if it doesn't apply, let it fly. But most importantly, grab your pen and your paper and be prepared to take notes. In this video, we're going to discuss why it's so imperative to be vulnerable, to be transparent, and most importantly, to stop suppressing how you feel, as well as some friendly reminders, some recommendations, some disclaimers, and certain things to be aware of when you do decide to improve your mental health. Starting off with the disclaimers, starting off the things that you should be aware of. The moment you decide to heal, the moment you decide to improve your mental health, how you feel, what you used to think is no longer going to resonate with you. So if you used to be depressed in your past, if you used to have low self-esteem, the moment you decide to change, the moment you decide to let go of those things, you can no longer be in alignment with those things, whether it's emotionally, physically, or financially. So you have to realize that when you decide to improve your mental health, you have to make change. You're going to change. You can no longer surround yourself with things that lower your vibration or bring you back to your past trauma. You have to be okay with letting go in order for you to improve your mental health. Until you are ready, until you decide, until you choose to let go, you're going to feel stuck and stagnant. This is why people suffer from the PTSDs and the OCDs and the anxieties and etc. So the second thing you should be aware of is that healing is a choice. Suffering is an option. You have to decide that you no longer want to be or feel depressed, even if you do not have a full understanding of how that's going to happen. Regardless of what you've experienced in your past, despite what you've been through, until you are ready, until you decide, until you have a sense of desire to uplift yourself, to heal yourself, to become the best version of yourself, to be confident, you will constantly have a fight or flight mentality. This is why people doubt themselves. This is why people are not confident. This is why people do not trust themselves. You cannot pick and choose when you want to heal. You have to be 100% committed. You cannot be consistent. You cannot be consistent until you decide that you want to be committed. The third thing that you have to be aware of when you decide to walk on this journey is that it is for you. A lot of people have this misconception that healing is lonely. No, it's not. It's your battles. You're the only person who went through a significant amount of trauma. You're the only person who knows how you feel. It doesn't matter. Even when you go to your therapist, God, ancestors, universe, those things externally are there to support you, to reassure you, to love you and protect you, but it's still up to you. It's still up to you to let go of things that are no longer resonating with you. It's still up to you to put in the work. So you're not lonely. You have to be okay with being alone. It's your life. You're responsible for yourself. And you see, when you have codependency issues, when you have attachment issues, when you're dealing with abandonment issues, you think it's so hard. You think it's so difficult. When you come from dysfunction, you think it's so challenging. You have to be okay with being alone when you decide to improve your mental health, because you have to self-reflect. You have to understand what was working for you in the past, what didn't work for you in the past, what experiences that you want to, have certain opportunities with from people, places, and things, and certain things that you are meant to outgrow. You have to be able to be okay, with yourself. You have to be able to sit in solitude or a season of isolation. So the fourth thing that you have to be aware of when you decide to improve your mental health is that it's going to take time. There's no rush. That's why I said in the beginning of the video and in the intro, there's no right or wrong way to heal yourself. On this account, we inform, we motivate, we educate. You may agree, you may not. You take what resonates, you leave the rest. Same thing when it comes to people that you meet in everyday life. You could take what resonates, leave the rest. All that back and forth, all that da-da-da-da-da-da. If it doesn't apply, let it fly. You don't have to rush. You can't compare yourself. Yes, everybody goes through a significant amount of trauma. Yes, people have had heartbreak. Yes, people go through things. Everyone does not react and respond or handle things at a certain time. I'm speaking from experience. I've went through certain things in my life. I've moved past them. This is why I make these videos. You're not alone. You're not the only person who has gone through certain things, but you can't rush somebody who's had assistance, who's had certain therapy sessions, who grew up with certain tools and certain resources. If you know you didn't have therapy, if you know you grew up from a dysfunctional household, if you know you didn't communicate, if you know you've been suppressing your feelings, if you know you've been touched on inappropriately, if you know what you've gone through, you cannot compare your journey to other people. You cannot rush your process. Healing, like I said, is not a one size fit all. It could take years, it could take weeks, it could take months, it could take years. It just all depends on your time, your energy, your effort, and if and when you're willing to show up and be patient with yourself. So lastly, when you decide to improve your mental health, you have to make yourself a priority. You have to make yourself come first all the time. And if anything or anybody has a problem with you choosing yourself to better yourself, to mentally, emotionally, psychologically, consciously, subconsciously become the best version of yourself or heal yourself from certain things that you know you went through, you have to be willing to remove them. You have to be willing to cut any and everybody off immediately. The longer you surround yourself with people, places, and things who caused your trauma, did not change their behavior, did not come with an apology, the longer you will continue to suffer. And that's why, once again, you're suffering, because you're holding on to past memories that no longer exist. So now, what do we do to improve our mental health? What are the recommendations? The first recommendation, make sure you have your pen and your paper. Make sure you guys are liking this video. I almost said double tap the screen. This is not TikTok, but you could double tap the screen actually to like this video, turn on your post notifications, and make sure you're subscribed. But get your pen and paper. The first recommendation that you need to be aware of in order for you to improve your mental health is understanding what you've gone through. You have to be aware of what you've gone through. And what I mean by that is, instead of sweeping your problems underneath the rug, you have to lift the rug up. You can no longer suppress how you feel. So until you realize what you went through, like age, where you were, who was around you, how you were at that time, until you realize that that was a past version of you, you are not going to be able to move forward from that version. You cannot deny that past version of you, So until you accept that that was once you once went through these certain things, instead of trying to invalidate them, instead of trying to act like it never happened, like I said, you'll continue to go through psychological warfare. Like, you cannot invalidate who you were when you can't invalidate when you were touched on inappropriately at 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 years old from family members or etc. A lot of people try to push things to the back, is what I'm trying to say. Like, you actually have to be aware of what happened, because you have to heal yourself. You're going to go through withdrawals. Like, some days you're going to feel sad, some days you're going to be mad, but you have to go through it. You have to understand, like, that was you. So you have to validate yourself. The second thing, because I'm not trying to make that too much longer, once you understand what you went through, like I said, by validating yourself, is talking about how it affected you. So when you experience your trauma, the abuse, emotionally, physically, financially, how did it make you feel? Which means you have to be vulnerable. You have to be honest. You have to be transparent. You cannot be afraid to talk about certain people doing things to you, or you going through certain things in your life. You cannot feel embarrassed or ashamed. Everybody has gone through things. The difference between the people who make fun of people who have gone through certain things, more than likely they are narcissists, they're toxic, they're low vibrational, and they're abusers. But over here, you and I, we're free, we're abundant. We're not allowing certain people, places, and things who try to hurt us and harm us subconsciously, intentionally or not, to affect us. This is our life, because the people that hurt and harm you, I'm telling you from experience, they're going to not live forever, and they're going to continue to live their life. And if they don't change their ways or come with an apology, it doesn't change what they did. And a lot of times, even if they change their ways and come with an apology, 99% of the time, you don't want nothing to do with them. You should never be embarrassed or ashamed to talk about what you went through or how it made you feel, because your feelings are valid. And once again, you have to be okay with cutting off certain people who are not willing to support you or defend you or believe you or be there for you. The third recommendation, as you learn to be vulnerable, as you talk about how certain things affect you, you have to allow yourself to grieve. Once again, grieving could take years, especially if you've been suppressing how you've been feeling for the past 20, 30, 40, 50 years, or you've never been taught and shown, or you don't have anybody that you feel like you can be vulnerable with or understand. This is why I always tell you guys to go to your God, ancestors, universe. I have multiple videos on how to exercise your emotions, such as journaling, praying, fasting, meditating, finding ways to sit with yourself, sleeping, resting, or even, like I said, booking your service and your session with me, going to a therapist, going to a psychiatrist. My website is in the description, as well as all my social media platforms, okay, for like one-on-one personal sessions. If not, watching these videos, like I tell you guys all the time, don't watch these videos just to watch me. Make sure you guys are engaging. Make sure you're liking, commenting, and letting me know what's working, what's not. It's free to engage. It's free to support. This information, I know, it's not about me. It's about you. So as you're taking this time to grieve, you, like I said, have to be okay with being in your solitude. It's okay to cry. You're not weak. Anybody who confuses your vulnerability with weakness, like I said, are horrible people, are malicious people. Who makes fun of people for crying? You know how beautiful you have to be? You know how much of a human you have to be in order for you to cry? You know how connected you have to be? People have been so dehumanized and desensitized that when people cry, when people talk about their feelings, they try to invalidate them. They say things like, oh, you're sensitive, or you're a crybaby, or you're weak, or I don't want to be like you, or I don't... Everybody feels differently. Like, you don't have to apologize for being beautiful. You don't have to apologize for being loving, because that's what it is. When you have a loving personality, when you are a loving spirit, when you're not evil, you feel. And you feel to a capacity, like I said, that most people try to block, or that they've been blocking because of the trauma and abuse and the suffering that they've experienced. The fourth or fifth thing, let me know what number I'm at when it comes to you improving your mental health, is knowing that you're no longer going to be who you once were. That version of you, once you take the time to heal, once you take the time to sit in isolation, once you take the time to reflect, once you cry, once you go through your withdrawals, once you, like I said, seek assistance if you're not able to do these things yourself, once you take the notes and you apply the information, you are not going to be who you once were. You do have to move forward. You do have to forgive yourself. You do have to let it go eventually. Once again, when you choose to, that's on you. I'm not here to rush you. Take your time. But the fifth and final thing is letting it go, because it happened. You can't go back in time. All you could do is learn from the experience. Like I said, realize on a psychological level, on a subconscious level, on an internal level, why you had to go through certain things. There's a reason on why we go through certain things in life. But until you realize why you're going through certain situations, until you figure out who you are, what it is that you want, what it is you're supposed to be doing, you're going to continue the same cycles. You're going to continue the same energy. You're going to continue the same narcissistic, low vibrational, toxic relationships with multiple people until you get it. Maybe you need boundaries. Maybe you need to learn how to be confident. Maybe you need to learn how to say no. Maybe you need to practice discernment. Maybe you need to pour into yourself. Like, it's a reason why we go through certain things. And until you forgive yourself, until you learn how to be patient with yourself, you're going to continue to beat yourself up. So I'm going to end off the video with that. If you guys have questions, comments, concerns, once again, let me know your experience. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable. This is a judge-free platform. All abuse, negativity, and just anything that's chaotic or not genuine, you will be blinkly blocked, deleted. Okay? Thank you guys for watching the video all the way to the end. Like I said, thank you guys so much for engaging and commenting and let me know your experience and liking this video, because once again, these videos are for you. Okay? And if you are a part of the Law Familiar Squad, that's our community, make sure you guys, like I said, are following me on all my social media platforms. Let me know what topics and questions that you guys want to discuss on Instagram and on TikTok. That's where I go live. Okay? answer you guys' questions, like I said, if you're not able to forward a session in the service. But once again, all the information is down in the description box below. If you guys want a part 2 or certain examples on what to do when you're grieving or when you're in your season of isolation, or some recommendations when it comes to improving your mental health, let me know. Okay, until next time, peace, love you, bye.